The last light is not a sun. It is a mouth. It opens in the sky above Accra, and above the open sea, and above the old forest roads where the red dust never settles. Shines like a hole. Drinks light. Drinks sound. It drinks the small soft breath of a child asleep. It drinks the name a mother whispers. It drinks the last thought of an old man who holds a faded photo and tries to remember a song. It drinks the world. A woman lies in a narrow bed in a white room that hums like a quiet bee. Her hands do not move. Her eyes do not open. Machines draw thin lines on glass. A cool mask covers her face. She breathes slow. She does not wake. She will not wake. The star wants her. The star takes her. The world is saved because she does not wake. The woman's name moved through every radio in the world. People argued about her in offices with tall glass, and in planes that never stop moving, and in rooms under the ground where the air feels like stone. Some called her hero. Some called her traitor. Some called her thief. Some called her God. None of the names matter now. Her body is here. Her mind is not. Her mind is inside the black light, walking on a road that is not a road, holding a lantern that is not a lantern. She walks. She will walk forever. Sound goes through the hospital. It is not noise from a machine. It is old. It is a name that is also a sky. It is Niam. It is the sound of the first breath. It is the sound of the last. The nurses stop. The surgeons stop. A guard drops a paper cup of tea. The tea spreads like a small eclipse on the white floor. The sound is here and everywhere. It is in the cables and in the clouds and in the bones of a girl who sleeps without dreams. Says this is the end of hunger. Says this is the start of hunger. It says the star will eat no more if one mind never leaves its table. The woman in the bed knows this. She agreed. She sighed. She cried. She did not run. She did not beg. She looked at the star through thick glass on a high tower the night before, and the star looked back. It did not blink. It burned like the black center of a drum. It hummed like a deep old river inside rock. It asked without asking. She answered without sound. Somewhere far, past lines of desert and lines of sea, in a chamber with a ceiling like a sky that never ends, those who rule with money and those who rule with knowledge and those who rule with fear sit very still. They can feel the taste of sleep in their mouths. They can taste their own power and feel it turn to dust. They know they could not stop the star. They know they could not stop the woman. They know they won because the world lives. They know they lost because they did not pay the price. This is the end. Now go back. Go back to the first day the mouth in the sky spoke without words. Go back to the first dream it took. Go back to the first small lie and the first great plan. Go back to the first wrong turn. Go back to the first right one. A black star appears the way a cough appears in a quiet room. It is small. It is nothing. It is a speck on a map of radio waves. It sits above the Gulf of Guinea like a seed under skin. A Ghanaian astronomer watches it. She loves maps. She loves quiet lines. She loves the moment before a new thing gets a name. Her name is Afia Mensima. She wears the same brown sweater because it feels like a hug from a friend who never speaks and never leaves. She sits in a dark room at the Ghana Radio Astronomy Observatory outside Accra, where the big dish used to listen for phone calls across the ocean. The dish listens to the sky now. The dish hears a hole. Afia leans close to the screen. The signal is not a tone. It is an absence shaped like a tone. It cuts the hiss like a blade of cold air. She logs the time. She turns her head. She listens again. She thinks it is a glitch. She checks the cables. She checks the pointing. She checks the clock. She calls a colleague in a lab in Cape Town that belongs to a network so large that the land itself looks like an ear. She asks very slow and very plain if they see the same hole. They do. She calls a control room for satellites run by a company that never sleeps and never feels shame. The company belongs to a man whose face is on every wall in every office that tries to touch the sky. The man likes rockets like some men like knives. The company aims a machine. The machine sees the same hole. Afia names it with a name that is older than the flags and older than the company that wants to own the night. She calls it the Black Star. She means the star on the flag. She means a sign of hope. She means a sign of hard road. She means a sign that the world can change. People clap when they hear the name. They make shirts. They make banners. They make songs that sound like drums from a dream. The news shows a map. The map shows a dot. The dot grows. At first the star steals nothing but radio waves. The scientists smile. The billionaires smile. They say the star is a playful child pulling the cloth from a table. They say the cloth will not tear. They say the plates will not break. They say trust us. The star does not speak, but it answers. It eats the far whispers of pulsars that beat like the hearts of dead suns. It eats the afterglow of a birth older than dust. It eats the soft rain of noise that makes the night feel alive. The sky grows quiet in certain bands. The quiet feels wrong, like a city with no dogs. Fear writes a paper. The paper is careful, like a mother washing a newborn. She is proud and afraid. She sends it to a journal controlled by an elite gate that opens for some and closes for most. The gate opens because the gatekeeper wants a place in the story. A storm of money and men begins. A global council of sleep and mind science forms in a tower in Geneva. Private network of labs buys air rights over dreams. A billionaire group offers endless servers and endless drones and endless lines of people who sign forms they do not read. The United Nations votes to create a dream safety task force. The vote is fast. The vote is loud. The vote is late. The first nightmare wave hits a month after the first paper. It begins like a trick of weather. A school in OSU says the children scream in sleep. A hotel near the water says guests wake with bloody tongues from biting down. A plane from London to Accra turns around because half the passengers cannot breathe when their eyes close. They shake on the floor like fish in a boat. Videos leak. The world watches small faces twist in bed. The world hears a thick hum in the background of every clip, like a drum underwater. The task force sits under bright lights in Geneva and in New York and in Beijing. Underneath the nice words, there is fear and there is pride and there is hunger. The old men and women in fine suits want to win against a thing they cannot touch. They want to use it. They want to claim it before someone else claims it. They call Afia the mother of the Black Star. They praise her. They ask her to smile for photos. They give her a pin with the black star on it and tell her to stand in the center. They do not listen when she says the star is not a child you can teach. The star is a mouth. Doctors who study sleep gather in a lab with thick walls in Boston. The lab belongs to a stack of money taller than any mountain. The stack has a name you have heard in every city. The name owns clinics and media and the little screen you keep near your bed. The lab has machines that can paint a picture of a person's mind when the eyes close. They call these pictures maps. They call them art. They call them proof. They put healthy students in beds. They turn off the lights. They whisper calm words. They ask the star to sing. The star does not need to be asked. The star is already singing. The maps on the screens show storms. They show too much order and too much silence. They show that the star is not only a mouth for radio. It is a mouth for thought. It shapes the first phase of sleep into a funnel, pulls the second phase into a narrow pipe. It makes REM a small hard mirror. It takes the bright colors of a dream and turns them to ash. Soon the dreamers stop dreaming. They wake with dry eyes and wet pillows. They feel tired and angry and afraid. They try to sleep again and find only a long dark corridor that smells like iron. They walk and never find a door. They wake screaming from a sleep with no images. They fall asleep again while walking on stairs and forget where the stairs end. Whole cities start to forget songs. Grocers forget to lock doors. Bus drivers forget routes. Mothers forget lullabies. People begin to fear the night like it is a beast that waits behind the door. The Council of Sleep and the task force and the company with the rockets send planes to Ghana. They set up an array on the coast that can stare at the black star with eyes made of cold metal. They bring in people who speak in numbers and never in tears. They bring in security with hard faces and dark glasses. They bring in lawyers whose pens weigh more than guns. They bring in a new chief from an institute so famous its initials are a kingdom. He once told the world he could make death old and tired. He now stands under the strange sky and tells the cameras that the dream thief will be stopped. Afia watches all of this like a storm watching people build sand walls on a flat beach. She asks to run the dish. They let her. They pretend they let her. They would take it away if they could. But they need her hands. They need her eyes. They need the mind that first heard the whole. They also blame her. They do not say it in words at first. They say it with small looks. They say it by excluding her from rooms with blue carpets. They say it by asking if she slept well, like it is a joke that hurts. She does not sleep well. When she does sleep, she sees a tree with roots in the sky and branches under the sea. Children climb the trunk in long lines. Each child carries a small bell. Each bell is silent. A spider sits at the base of the trunk. It is old. It wears a coat that looks like gold. It looks at her and at the tree and then at the star. It taps one leg on the ground as if counting. When she wakes, she tastes ash. The star grows larger, not with size but with reach. It is now heard in Kenya and in Chile and in Australia. It is seen in data from space telescopes that look not with eyes but with equations. The hole in the noise eats more and more of the band. It moves closer to frequencies that shape our brains. It hums under the bass note of our sleep. It becomes a bass we cannot turn off. People start to fall into waking sleep. They speak while their eyes are open and do not know it. They drive and do not remember stops. They cook and forget the fire. A rush hour bus in a global capital swims through an intersection like a whale through shallow water and never stops. Children are led out of classrooms at noon when half the class slumps over at once like corn in a wind. Videos show toddlers sleeping standing up. Videos show police snoring with guns loose in their laps. The videos get banned. New videos appear. Panic spreads faster than the star. The powerful decide to sell calm. The billionaire network builds an app. Promises safe dreams. Promises a shield. It promises a lullaby made of numbers. Millions download it. For one night it helps. The sleep maps look softer. People breathe. The second night the app is a door. The door opens. The star walks in. It eats the little shields like sweets. The company says it is a bug and pushes an update. The update is a mirror. The mirror reflects the star into rooms that did not know it yet. There is fury. There is a lawsuit. There is very public blame. There is secret payment under a table made of air. The council calls Afia to a high meeting. The room is cold. The windows show a lake. The men and women in the room wear expressions like masks carved from old trees. They ask her in careful words how to talk to the star. They ask if there is a story that opens a door. They ask about Akan names. They ask about Niam and Asais Ya and river spirits and forest masks. They ask because they do not know the land under their feet. They ask because in fear even the proud will beg from a well they mocked. Afia says a simple thing. She says the star is not a person. She says the star is hunger. She says hunger does not speak. But there is old wisdom about hunger. Do not feed it what it wants. Feed it what it cannot digest. They ask what that means. She thinks of Anansi, the spider who steals stories and also gives them. She thinks of the black star on the flag, a sign to lead, a sign to cost. She thinks of the tree with upside-down roots. She thinks of the children with silent bells. She thinks of a god whose name is the sky itself. She says you cannot fight the star with machines alone. You must give it a meal that never ends. You must feed it a dream that cannot be finished. You must give it a mind that walks forever and never reaches a door. The room goes quiet. They understand. They pretend not to understand. They say they will explore pharmacology. They say they will explore fields that can bend phase into knots. They say they will explore the use of comas on a mass scale. They do not say the simple thing yet. Someone must go into endless sleep. Someone must not return. A new team arrives. They are sleep surgeons. They come from labs in Zurich and Tokyo and Houston where money is not counted because it is too much and too old to have numbers. They bring smooth machines and smooth words. With them comes a person who was once Afia's friend. His name is Kwaku Sefa. He left Ghana to join a place where brains are opened like books. He now wears suits that do not wrinkle and smiles that do not tire. He hugs Afia with one arm and shakes hands with the others with his right. He speaks on stage at night and shows slides of hope. He is the one the cameras love. The people begin to blame him because he looks too sure. He is not fully guilty. He is also not fully clean. He tells the world he built a way to trap sleep, to hold it like a bird in a warm hand. He says we can place one mind as an anchor and let the star feed only there. He says the anchor will not feel pain. He says the anchor will never be alone. He says the anchor will walk and sing forever. He says it like a blessing. Afia hears it like a sentence. The network of billionaires offers a volunteer lottery. The council says it is a solemn choice. The company with the rockets offers bonuses and a new passport to the family of the chosen. Lines form. People say they will do it to save their children. People say they will do it because they cannot dream anyway. People say they will do it because fame is a bright drug. People say they will not do it because it is wrong. People fight in streets with candles in their hands. People pray in mosques and churches and by small forest shrines. A woman on TV cries because her 3-year-old does not laugh anymore and only stares at the ceiling all night with dry eyes. Afia does not join the lottery. She writes code. She checks the dish. She eats food she does not taste. She stands on the roof at night and tries not to look up. She looks up. The star is bigger now. It is not larger in size. It is larger in feeling. It is the center of every night. It is a hole that pulls the days around it. It is a god that wants to be fed. One afternoon she goes to a small house in Jamestown to see her mother. The air smells like smoke and salt. Her mother sits with a bowl of kenki and fish and smiles with the kind of smile that already forgives. Her mother says the tree you see in your dream is the old way the Asais shows the foolish that they walk upside down. Her mother says the children with bells are our children from the start of the world and the bells are quiet because they know not to wake the sky. Her mother says the spider is a trickster who steals but also returns things polished. Her mother says be careful with mines. They are small. They look big because they hold mirrors. At night Afia dreams that she is a drum. The star uses her as a drum. Each time it hits, a child wakes with a cry in a city she has never seen. Each time it hits, a man forgets a debt he needs to pay and the woman he owes loses her home. Each time it hits, a nurse nods off while holding a bag of clear liquid and a patient drifts too far. She wakes and her hands are shaking. He calls Kwaku. She says do not lie when you talk about the anchor. He says he is not lying. He says the anchor will not feel pain. She asks if he knows what forever means. He does not answer. He goes quiet for too long. Then he says he cannot carry the world and the truth at the same time. The lottery picks a name. It is the name of a young man who once won a prize for a poem about the sea. The news makes his face into a flag. He speaks to a camera about love and duty. He is brave. He is also afraid. The night before the procedure, the black star grows so loud that the glass in the observatory hums like a swarm of bees. The sleep labs report a new thing. Some people do not sleep at all. They stay awake for 60 hours and then fall down and do not wake. Their eyes move. Their bodies breathe. There are no dreams inside. There is empty wind. The council says the anchor must happen now. The company readies the white room. The billionaire whose portrait hangs in every airport leans forward in a chair in his penthouse and whispers something to no one. Kwaku stands in the prep room and washes his hands as if he can wash his mind too. Afia stands in a hall and tries to think of a way to break the building without killing anyone. She cannot find one. She thinks maybe she has become who they blame. She goes to the young man's room. He does not speak. He sits. He does not speak. He stares at his hands like they are papers he has to sign. A nurse comes and takes his blood pressure and smiles the smile that says I am here and I am not here. He falls asleep for a moment in the chair. His head drops. He jerks awake. He looks at Afia and he does not ask her anything. He does not need to. She knows the question. She answers by standing up and walking to the main glass where the senior council sits. She asks to be allowed to speak to the world. They laugh with their eyes. They look at one another for permission. They give silence. She goes to the smaller glass where the technical team sits. She says she needs a quiet channel. A young technician from Tima who still believes in heroes gives it to her. She calls the dish. She points it at the star. She thinks of the spider who bargains. She thinks of the tree that grows from sky to sea. She thinks of Niam whose name is air. She speaks inside her head because there is no other place to speak to a mouth that is only a hole. She says, "Come to me." She says, "I am not brave but I can walk." She says, "I will be the road you want." She says, "Take me and leave the others." She says, "I will dream without end." She says, "I will build you a stair of stories that never reach the top." She says, "I will be your drum and your drumstick and your empty room." She says, "My name is Afia Mensima, child of a woman who cooks for the poor, student of the sky, servant of a dish that listens." She says, "If the world sleeps, do not eat it." Me. The star answers like a pressure behind the eyes that makes the teeth feel loose. Does not speak. Presses. It looks at her not with sight but with pull. Her body sways. The lights in the control room flicker. The technician from Tima falls to his knees and whispers a prayer without words. Kwaku sees the monitors jump and knows she is doing something he did not plan and cannot stop. He runs. The council calls security. The security runs. The billionaires watch and do not blink. Afia walks into the white room with the narrow bed. She lies down. The young man with the poem stands in the door and sees her and shakes his head and covers his mouth and cries. The nurse with the kind mask whispers the old simple word for courage in Chui, and for once it feels like it has weight. Kwaku stands above her with hands that never shake and now shake. He says nothing because there is no way to say do not do this and there is no way to say do this. He looks like a boy in a suit he borrowed. Afia signs a form that is a page long and also the size of the sky. She asks for one thing. Do not tell my mother this was an accident. Tell her I chose. Tell her I walked. Tell her I did not run from the drum. Tell her the spider will tell stories about me that are neither true nor false but are useful. The nurse nods. The nurse says a promise without sound. They begin the anchoring. It is simple and it is terrible. They place a cap on her head. Holds many small teeth. The teeth are cold but not cruel. They place soft tapes on her chest and arms. They place a mask that smells like clean rain. They thread a line into her hand. The line carries a slow river of chemicals that can hold a door open between waking and sleep. The engineers in the other room set a pattern of gentle noise that will be fed to the star like a scent trail. The dish on the hill turns. Other dishes in other countries turn. A chain of ears forms around the night. The world watches. The app shows a countdown. People hold breath like it might help. Children ask why the sky looks like smoke. In a basement in Kumasi, a grandmother tells a story about a hunter who made a deal with a river and paid with his shadow. In a boardroom in New York, a woman with sharp eyes tells a man with a sharper smile that this will be good for the brand if it works. In a hostel in Lagos, a small group of students hold hands and stare at a cracked phone as the numbers fall. Begins. Afia falls the way a leaf falls, but the ground is not a ground. It is a wide, quiet place with a light like deep sea. The star is here too. It is black and it is bright. It is a hunger that is pure. Does not hate. Does not love. It is the lean in an empty belly made into a sky. It touches her not with fingers but with pull. It asks not with words but with need. She gives it a path. She thinks of a story with no end. She thinks of a road that loops. She thinks of the great spider who asked for all stories and then had to carry them. She thinks of a child counting grains of sand on Labadi Beach and starting over when the tide comes. She thinks of a song that never closes its last note. She makes these into a dream. She walks. She is in a forest where the trees grow upside down. The roots drink starlight. The leaves are under water. Fish swim among them. The spider waits at a bend. Tasks for a tail. She gives it the first half of one. It smiles with too many eyes and says finish it. He says later. She walks. The star follows, eating only the path behind her. It eats the half story and waits for the other half. It will wait forever. In the room the machines show a new thing. The maps are not storms. They are not silence. They are a spiral that never tightens. The doctors whisper. Technicians cry. The council sits very still. The billionaire bites his hand. The app shows a slowly rising line that means people all over the world are sleeping. Not perfectly. Not the way before. But they are sleeping with pictures in their heads again. A child turns and smiles in a dream. A bus driver rests and wakes and remembers the road. A mother sings a short song and becomes quiet in the middle and sleeps, and the child next to her sleeps too. The news calls Afia the dream anchor. The angry call her the dream thief. They say she took their choice. They say she made herself God. They say the council forced her. They say the company paid her. They say many things because grief needs words and blame needs targets. Kwaku holds a press event. He explains the science. He tries to take just enough credit to keep the money coming and not enough to steal a soul. The world blames him anyway because he is there, and blame needs a face. The technician from Tima becomes a small hero in his neighborhood, and also gets pushed on a street by a man whose brother died in the wave before the anchor. The nurse gets flowers and also some letters that carry poison in their lines. The council members speak about ethics and write books. The company turns the countdown into a brand and sells small lamps that glow black and call it art. The lamps sell out. Afia's mother comes to the institute. She sits by the bed. She tells a story about a girl who walked into the river to pull out a net and found the river did not want to let her go. She laughs and cries at once. She takes Afia's hand and says, "If you can hear me, it is enough." She says, "If you cannot hear me, it is enough." She says, "Sleep, child of the sky." She says, "Sleep, child of the earth." Time moves. The world heals in small lurches. The star remains. It pulls and eats and walks behind Afia in her endless dream. Sometimes it tries to run ahead. She moves sideways. She builds new loops. She splits one story into 10. She ties the ends to nothing. She makes a knot that looks like a flower and never opens. She learns to be a road that goes nowhere and still feels like a journey. The star learns nothing because hunger does not learn. It only eats and waits to eat again. There are small flares. Some nights the star pushes through her work and kisses the edge of the world. People wake with a start and think they heard their names. The dishes hum. The maps shake. The council gathers and debates more machines and more drugs and more laws about sleep. Kwaku grows tired in his bones and in his smile. He sits alone and writes an apology to no one. He knows he did what he believed was right. He knows belief is not the same as right. In Ghana, school children draw the black star not only on the flag but in the sky. Some make it a friend with round cheeks. Some make it a snake. Some refuse to draw it. They draw a woman instead, with a long road behind her and a spider on her shoulder. They do not know her face. They draw it anyway. Rumors start. Some say Afia has learned to look out of the star. Some say she visits dreams and leaves small gifts, like the memory of a taste you loved as a child and forgot. Some say she walks on the beach every harmattan and her footprints point both ways at once. Some say she is dead. Some say she is God. The truth is simpler and harder. She is asleep. She is walking. She is tired. She is not done. One night, a very rich man takes a very fast plane to Accra and drives in a very black car to the hill with the dish. He stands under the bowl and looks up and feels very small for the first time in his life. He sends a message to his board that the dream product line must be cancelled. He tells the council he is retiring. He gives away a sum of money that looks like a mountain to a hospital near the market. People cheer. People spit. People forget. People remember. The star does not care. Kwaku leaves the big institute and returns to teach in Legon. His students ask him about the anchor. He says you can repair a heart and you can repair a bone, but when you touch sleep you touch a river that runs through the whole world at once. He says move slowly. He says the price is always larger than the bill. The council writes a rule. No mass sleep experiments without consent from those who will never wake. It is a good rule and a late rule. It will help someone and fail someone else. The app companies pivot to fitness and to water bottles that glow when you forget to drink. Investors clap. The star does not clap. Afia dreams the tree again. Now the bells ring. Not loud, not soft. They ring like rain on a tin roof. She looks up and sees that the roots are deeper and the water is clearer and the spider is older. Taps and says, "Finish one story." He says, "Not today." The spider laughs like a father who cannot hide pride. Climbs into her bag and rides with her to the next bend. There is a night when the world almost breaks again. The star surges. The dishes scream. The maps go white. The council calls. Quokka runs. The nurse comes back from retirement. The technician from Tima prays and swears and pulls cables and forgets his own name for 10 seconds. Afia feels the surge like a hand on her back. She almost falls. She draws a shape in the dream air. It is the symbol her mother taught her for a promise kept. It shines with a light that is not light. The star pauses. Hunger can pause if it thinks the table may be larger in a moment. She uses the pause to build a bridge from one endless road to another. The surge passes. The dishes calm. The world breathes again. People change. They are kinder some days because they remember the night that almost took them. They are crueler some days because fear makes sharp edges. The black star becomes a word for any large thing that eats small things without hate. The black star becomes a fashion for a season. The black star becomes a sermon and then a joke and then a lullaby. Years do not pass the same way for Afia. In the room, her body ages gently. Nurses change the sheets and talk about their children and their mothers and the price of rice. They turn her. They wash her hair. They paint her nails a color that looks like the underside of a cloud at dusk. In the dream, Afia walks and sometimes runs and sometimes sits beside a river that runs backward. She tells the star a story about a fisherman who catches a moon and cannot throw it back because it is too beautiful. The star eats the first half and waits. She smiles and stands and walks. The end is the start. The start is the end. The mouth in the sky is open and full and still hungry. The woman in the bed is small and still and very large. The world moves. The world sleeps. The world wakes. The name that is also the sky moves through wires and rain and bones. Says this was the price. Says there will be other prices. Says do not worship hunger. Says do not think you can own it. Says feed it what will not end. The last light is still not a sun. It is a mouth. It opens and hums and takes in the dream that never finishes. It will follow it forever. The woman walks. The spider rides. The tree sings with silent bells. The children climb. The sea breathes. The dish listens. The mothers tell stories with soft hands. The men with money grow quiet for a night and then speak again. The council writes more rules and then breaks some of them and then writes them again. The world is the world. In the white room the machines hum. The lines on the glass go up and down in gentle waves. A nurse adjusts a blanket. Outside the sky is clear. The black star is not seen with eyes. It is felt the way you feel a storm in your knees. People lie down in Lagos and in London and in Lima and in Lahore. They close their eyes. They see a path. They see a woman ahead of them walking. They call out with their minds. She does not turn. She keeps walking because she must. They do not follow. They stop. They sleep. They dream of small good things like mangoes and rain and a face that looks at them with love. They wake. They make tea. They go to work. They kiss a child. They hold a hand. They say thank you without names. At the base of the dish in Kuntuns, a child from a school trip lagging behind bends and picks up a small spider and places it on the grass. The child looks up at the huge bowl and says a simple word that can mean hello and thank you and sorry and yes. The wind carries it. The sky keeps it. The road in the dream brightens for a moment, like dawn through thin fog. The star pauses and then moves, forever hungry, forever fed by a story that never ends. This is the last scene and the first scene. This is the price and the gift. This is the anger and the peace. This is the sound of soft feet on a road in the dark. This is the world asleep and the world awake. This is the black star above the gulf. This is the name that is the sky. This is the woman who will not wake, walking, 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 and never reaching a door, so that the rest of us can sleep and reach one.